Aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper?
What's up, nerds? Welcome to another episode of the Multiverse Report. We are recapping the week's nerdy news from the TARDIS to Hogwarts and everywhere in between. My name is Mike Gibson. With me, as always, is my partner in crime, Steve Howler. What's up, Steve?
Oh, nothing much. Just as is now usual, came out of the woods to a smattering of what seemed to be all sorts of nerd news this week. So here we are to talk about it.
Yeah, we got quite the variety, I feel like, this week. Quite the variety of topics.
We're not going deep anywhere. It's a very wide smattering.
Yes. Starting off with something that, a topic we've talked about a little bit before, and we've talked about it with Disney and Marvel before. I don't know if they're trying to make this a trend. I don't think they are, but somebody might be trying to make this a trend. Marvel is filing a lawsuit in an attempt to hold on to many of their major characters, or the rights to many of their major characters. This is Marvel across the board. It's not specifically the films or TV, not specifically the comics. It's just straight up Marvel. Now, I've seen the main article that I read said one thing, but since then I've seen different names attached to it. The main article I read that said heirs of famous comic book creators, including Stan Lee, Steve Ditko, Gene Colan, Larry Lieber, and Don Rico, have filed notices of termination for their work on such characters as Spider-Man, Iron Man, Black Widow, Doctor Strange, Hawkeye, Ant-Man, Falcon, and Thor. And Marvel is countersuing to be able to hold on to those rights. They're countersuing to block those notices of termination. Now, that was the first article that I read about it. Since then, I've really only seen the Steve Ditko and Ditko's family attached to this lawsuit. I've seen a couple mentions of Larry Lieber, but really only Steve Ditko, and I haven't really seen Stan Lee anywhere else other than this article. So going off this is an article that was posted by the Hollywood Reporter this past week. So we're going off that, but clearly the focus seems to mostly be on the Ditko family. Steve Ditko, co-creator of Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, and I believe a couple other characters on that list as well. Obviously, we know Stan Lee did so much of the co-creating of all these characters. Gene Colan, I believe, was part of creating Iron Man, maybe Black Widow. And so a lot going on here. Now, so what a notice of termination is this built into...
Here's Legal Corner 101.
Yeah, and I started writing notes for myself and then realized that I didn't finish them. So I'm going off kind of like what I remember from both reading this article and my studying of copyright law in college 1,000 years ago, it seems like. So a notice of termination was built into when the copyright laws were like redone, reworked, years ago at this point. It was mostly done so big corporations like Disney wouldn't lose control of, say, Mickey Mouse, because that was really on the table for a while, and they pulled some strings with the government to be able to rejigger that law in some way where they would not lose control of Mickey Mouse. So in that reworking of that law, there was something put in place for works for hire, and that a creator that had created something for a work for hire after a considerable amount of time could file a notice of termination, and that means that the rights for that character would revert to the creator, or in this case, the creator's family. Now, that is something that is in the law, right, that they can do. And clearly, Spider-Man was created in like 1963, I think, is 62 or 63, 64, early 60s.
Yeah.
Clearly enough time has gone by, I think, that they are well within their rights to file a notice of termination. So I'm not sure where to go. I feel like this is something that, correct me if I'm wrong, Steve, do you see any way that this actually goes to court and that Marvel loses the rights, full stop, not like has to share rights? This would be loses full rights to all of these characters that I just mentioned, Do you see any reality in which they let that happen?
Well, yes and no. I mean, one of those creations, Doctor Strange, would have seen all of the iterations and found the one.
Sure. Right.
However,
Yeah.
um, the way Marvel and the Mouse are doing things, I think they'll just throw a bunch of money at it. The one thing that may come out of this, and what I feel like is probably the most likely scenario for this moving forward, is actually that maybe this forces Marvel's hand to actually pay some of the creators themselves back on their works,
Yeah.
rather than it being here's your $5,000 check because we're using Spider-Man in a multi-billion-dollar franchise.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna start seeing more of, oh yeah, you created this. We're using Jason Aaron's Thor run as the blueprint for Thor 5. So we're gonna give him some money for that rather than like it seems like this hopefully, and that may be the impetus behind the whole thing, is for it to ultimately just be a bit of trickle down from this multi-billion-dollar economy that has been created around these superhero films to these guys who created them years ago, and people, even artists that have put their own spin on it and tailored the creation to themselves as well. So
Yeah. I agree. And there's been a couple recently, and I don't know why we haven't really talked about it on the show. Recently, there has been, I feel like there's been a couple articles going around within the last 3 or 4 months about how terrible creators are treated. And I don't mean physically treated or anything like that, but as far as financially, how they're not treated as well financially as they should be, especially in the case where a character that is created goes on to be a part of a multi-billion-dollar highest grossing franchise of all time, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This really kicked off a while ago when Ed Brubaker was on Kevin Smith's Fat Man Beyond podcast and gave an interview saying that he earned more from his cameo in the Winter Soldier movie, in Captain America the Winter Soldier, than he did for creating the character of the Winter Soldier.
Right.
Which is crazy. And things like, he was invited to the premiere or something, but then they got there and no one knew who he was and his name wasn't on the list, and he had to text Sebastian Stan to get him inside. Like, yo, dude, this
jeez.
Yeah, like this movie's being made off this guy's back, the guy that wrote and created this character, and you give him a couple $1,000s and say thanks when you're making billions of dollars off this character being used in the movie. And yeah, the argument is there that yes, it was a work for hire and he got paid for his work, but like when you're doing that much money, when you're doing that much off of a character that was created by families that are not well off, not free and easy, not millionaires, certainly not billionaires, you'd think the billion-dollar corporation could do a little bit more for these people.
You would think.
Especially somebody like Steve Ditko, who you ask the average person on the street, certain streets, people aren't going to know what you're talking about at all, but for the sake of conversation, you ask the standard person on the street who created Spider-Man, they'll say Stan Lee. They won't say Steve Ditko. How many people know about Stan Lee and have never heard the name Jack Kirby before? Plenty of people. Because I know Stan Lee famously negotiated a lot of his rights in the late 90s, I think, with Marvel. So he started getting appreciated. He started getting paid a lot more. He started getting a lot of checks for being the co-creator. But that money's not going to Jack Kirby's family. That money certainly hasn't been going to Steve Ditko's family either. Stan Lee gets a lot of cameos and credits and created by credits in Marvel movies, and again, how often do you see Steve Ditko's name up on the screen?
Not nearly enough as it should be.
Not nearly enough as it should be. And I don't know, maybe they do credit him in movies. I can't say that I specifically remember seeing him or not seeing him, but I certainly remember seeing Stan Lee's name 1,000 times.
Right.
So, Steve, what do you think? Okay, what I'm about to say, I don't believe is going to happen at all, regardless of how far this goes in legal terms or whatever, lawsuits, appeals, court rulings, whatever. But it is fun to think about. What would happen if all these characters suddenly disappear from Marvel and Marvel can't use them again? What does that look like?
Well, that drastically changes the landscape of usable product there. I mean, it would effectively, and again, what would actually happen is, even if they lost the lawsuit, Marvel would just throw a boatload of money at them and say, okay,
Yes.
we're gonna, yes,
Yeah.
you hold the rights, but we're gonna buy the production rights to it. So they would still be able to continue on. But imagine the MCU without like half
the Avengers.
Yeah, literally, it's kind of crazy to think about. I mean, yeah, it's wow. I can't even wrap my head around what it could possibly be.
Yeah, and I think you are completely right, and that's why I said I don't think this would ever happen, because even in the scenario where Marvel Entertainment or Disney, whoever you want to say, loses the rights to ever use these characters at all, and they go directly back to the families, even in that scenario, there's no way that Marvel doesn't back a dump truck full of money up to these people's houses and say, how much for us to license these characters from you?
Right.
How much for us to use these characters in our movies, because we don't want to let go of our multi-billion-dollar highest grossing film franchise of all time, and our publishing, our comic book publishing too, which is pretty substantial chunk of our as we've just talked about, it's where we get all of our ideas from for our billion-dollar movies. So without the comics, we might be kind of screwed.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at just Ditko alone, Spidey and his whole entourage, and Strange and his whole entourage are all like, that's cornerstones of the MCU. You add in Lee, and you're talking, X-Men, any of the cosmic stuff, and like the on top of all the obvious ones that were mentioned, it's like the stuff that hasn't even been to production yet, the stuff that they just reverted the rights to, all of the Black Panther stuff, any, like, I want to say, like, the She-Hulk stuff, any of that is all, like, all the stuff coming up is just gone. Yeah.
Again, I don't think that's going to happen in a million years, because they have enough money to keep it from happening, I think, in one way or the other. But it's fun to think about. It does happen. I do want to say, I saw a number of people on Twitter leaping to the defense of the multi-billion-dollar corporation over the creators' families. And I think that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
If you are so dedicated to a brand that you care more about the brand than you care about the people that created the characters that made the brand, like, that's kind of great. Like, you're not losing Marvel Comics, you're not losing Marvel Entertainment. Like, you're still going to get Spider-Man, you're still going to get Iron Man. Like, these things are going to happen. It's just going to be funneled through different, just like the stream of money is going to be slightly different than it was, and like, hopefully it will be the stream of money will be flowing through the creators' families more than it ever has been before, because they certainly deserve to get paid for the works of their fathers.
Oh yeah, and I'm not a doctor, but I'm pretty sure that intellectual property law is not designed to help the little guy.
Right. Yeah. Marvel's gonna be fine, guys. Disney's gonna be fine too. Don't worry about the billion-dollar corporation. Disney's got theme park money they're rolling in, so don't worry about it. Anyway, but wouldn't it be funny? I know we've talked about this way too long, but how hilarious would it be if, say, for example, Marvel loses the rights to Spider-Man and then the Ditko family goes to Warner Brothers and licenses Spider-Man to Warner Brothers and DC.
Oh, Gotham and New York colliding.
Wouldn't that be crazy? If all of a sudden the DC's like, yeah, we can write a multiverse story and we can open up a portal and here comes Peter. Everything's fine. That'd be great. They could
Yeah, I
figure it
can.
out.
So
That'd be so weird.
Does New York sit right between Metropolis and Gotham, or like where?
Yeah.
How are we fitting that into the
New
map?
York, or is Gotham, New York? What's going on? Yeah, where exactly? Yeah, when you and I were first texting about this story, you said, "Wow, this is the ultimate what if." And I was like, "Yeah,
seriously.
right." Yeah, make that episode, you cowards. I want to see what if Marvel lost the rights to all these characters. Give me that episode, please.
I mean, we'd be living the snap.
Yeah, you're right. Character-wise, we would be. All right, moving out from lawsuits into something more entertaining, or hopefully entertaining. We got a trailer for something we talked about last week, Hit Monkey, a animated series debuting on Hulu, I think in October, I believe, or November.
November.
And it is about a hitman, but it's not a man, it's a monkey. Get it? Hit Monkey. That's where the title comes from. What'd you think of this trailer, Steve? I thought it was entertaining and seemed fun, but I still don't know really anything about the character.
That is the most accurate way to describe what we saw. It intrigued me. It told me just about nothing. It apparently stars Jason Sudeikis, George Takei, and Olivia Munn, maybe?
Yeah.
But beyond that, I've got nothing. It's animated and it'll probably be a blast. But
yeah.
Yeah.
It seemed like he had like the monkey has like an owner or a hitman friend or something that dies, and then the ghost of that person helps the hit monkey. I don't think that's the way it is in the comic books from what I read, but that seemed to be what they're doing with the trailer, and that's probably just so they can have a character with dialogue, because it doesn't seem like this is a talking monkey. It just seems like it's a monkey, which I actually like a little bit more than if it was an anthropomorphic monkey, because we see a lot of those. And I would like it just to be a monkey with a gun. That seems super dangerous, but also fun.
The anthropomorphic monkey, also known as a human. Hi.
Yeah, good point.
Here we are.
Hilarious. That's funny. So yeah, I mean, I don't really have much to say about this other than it looks fun. And it's
it'll be
the other animated series that's going to debut on Hulu. We talked about last week. There's supposed to be 4 of these initially, and then we're down to 2 with MODOK and Hit Monkey. Did you ever finish MODOK? Did you watch all of MODOK?
No, it lost me about halfway through.
Same with me. I thought it was funny.
It was definitely
too...
a very Patton Oswalt. Like I enjoyed the pieces that I saw of it. I don't know if I tried to bite off more than I could chew at once.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it definitely wasn't a bingeable show.
Yeah, for some reason it was almost like too irreverent, where I needed it to be like more plot driven and less and less random gag after random gag, like less like a Family Guy episode and more like a comic book series where there's something that's happening. I don't know.
Yeah, that's
it was funny. I liked it, but I just kind of lost, and it lost out to other things that I was trying to watch at the same time.
Right, like we said every single week, there's so much content out there that it's like I still haven't finished Doom Patrol. We're still there. So
yeah, since we're segueing into DC news anyway, I have started season 3 of Doom Patrol, and it is just as excellent as I remember it. It really is one of my favorite, I think, comic book adaptation, certainly television shows of all time that I've ever seen. I think it's incredible.
It's so weird and grabbing, like, and I think we've stated on the show before, my wife couldn't give 2 flying craps about anything comic book related.
Yeah.
But every time I'm watching it, she's sitting there right there with me. Like, it draws you in. It's just very well done.
Yeah, and it's one of those shows because it's so weird. The characters are so strange. The villains, power set, everything is so strange. And that's true to life from the comics. Every time I watch an episode, not even a season, every time I start a new episode, part of me is like, this is going to be the one where they lose it. This is going to be the one that they don't, they're not firing on all cylinders. And it's always great. I don't know.
Yeah.
They always are nailing it, no matter what they're doing. So So anyway, that was our segue from Marvel into DC. And since we're talking about DC, we're going to talk about this thing that I am very excited about as a big DC fan. HBO Max is developing a documentary on the history of DC Comics. It's going to be a 3-part series from Oscar and Emmy-nominated director, producer, and showrunner Leslie Earworks. I think that's how you say that name. And Greg Berlanti. Greg Berlanti, shepherd of the CW Arrowverse. So he's certainly familiar with the world of DC Comics and a lot of its characters. The press release said this documentary series takes an unprecedented look at the enduring and influential legacy of DC, allowing fans to rediscover the universe of characters as well as the iconic comic book company's origins, its evolution, and its nearly 9-decade cultural impact across every artistic medium. So this is like right up my alley. I feel like it should be up the alley of any comic book fan.
Oh yeah, I don't care if you're, Marvel diehard, whatever, like, or like the anti Big Two, strictly indie, like,
right. Yeah.
This should intrigue you just from a history standpoint and where it all came from. Like, we talk about comics are where all this, the current pop culture and the movies and all that came from. This is the history on where the comics came from.
Right.
So, like, it seems like a natural progression of, okay, no matter what, no matter who you are, no matter what you like, it's probably going to be worth watching. If they can do it justice, then it's going to be real good.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the origin of superhero comics is pretty much always traced back to Action Comics #1, first appearance of Superman, and that spawned pretty much everything that we are talking about now. You can't say that Marvel wouldn't exist without DC, but it might not exist in the same form that it was. That might still just be like pirate comics and, World War II comics and things like that. Like if DC never if DC never started Superman, who knows what would have come out of that? Because everything was a reaction to Superman or inspired by that character. I love stuff like this, and it's kind of like it kind of prove I don't know, one of the things that comic book fans I think hate hearing non-comic book fans say, especially about Superman, is that I don't like Superman because he's boring. Like, well, this is a character that started the superhero craze and did it in 1938 and has been published consistently since 1930. Like, that's no character that is
insanity.
Boring could possibly be published without stopping since 1938 for over 80 years. Like, there's no way that he's boring. You're just not reading or watching the right Superman stuff. Like, that's on you, buddy.
No, to be fair, there's so much of it out there that I'm sure there's plenty of Superman stuff that is boring, but there's a lot that isn't. Like, for it to be that consistent, for it to be that quality for that long, yeah, I'm with you on that one. That it's definitely something that needs to be looked into. Did we lose Mike? Is Mike frozen? I think Mike's frozen. So, along those lines, check out that when the HBO Max documentary drops on DC Comics, and also actually I may hold off on the next. Well, no. The trailer has dropped for Netflix's Sandman, which was the adaptation of the Neil Gaiman series that they've done audio dramas on. They've published, normal things and trades and the original run. But they're now officially giving us a first look and a trailer of the ridiculousness that is Sandman and the cast that's coming with it. I think we've touched on it a couple times on the cast before, but a phenomenal series. I know it's one of Mike's favorite over the course of the years, and he's back to talk about it right in time.
Hey, what are we talking about?
I was just describing the background on Sandman, and that we finally got the first look at the trailer.
Oh yeah.
And I was trying to vamp so that you could actually talk about it, because I know how excited you are for this.
Yes, here I am. Okay, sorry about that. That hasn't happened in a little bit. I could tell. There's like a couple times where like you were like freezing.
Yep,
And I was
little
like, oh no,
glitchy
is that
and
me? Is that me or is that him? Oh god, no. Oh god, no. Anyway, thanks for vamping. You can edit all this out, right? Sure. Anyway, yes. Okay, Sandman. We got the first look at Sandman. And I thought this was great. I just recently started rereading the first issue of Sandman on my DC Universe Infinite app. And then this first look came out, and I was like, wow, yeah, they are doing a great job adapting this. And I had forgotten. I remember reading the original casting, and you just mentioned it before we started, Steve, that Charles Dance is playing a role in this as the guy whose name I'm blanking on right now, but the guy who initially summons Dream and captures him, tries to summon Death.
Roderick Burgess.
Roderick Burgess, yes. Tries to summon Death, misses, and gets her brother Dream, and it kind of spawns the entire series from there. I wish that there was more to this. It was really cool. It was like just like a snip of the opening episode, the summoning of Dream and the imprisoning of him. I thought it looked really cool. I thought there was like cool effects of him being summoned. I thought the effects looked cool and kind of like original almost. And I thought, dude, the guy playing Dream, I thought about looking up his name to talk about it on this podcast, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to know his name. I just want to think that he is Morpheus, the Dream Lord, because he looks exactly like him. He's perfect casting, at least from, physically how he looks. I haven't heard him say a word yet because he doesn't talk in the teaser.
See, that's going to be my problem, because I listen to the audio dramas, and all I'm going to hear is James McAvoy.
James McAvoy, yeah.
And it's just not gonna jive. But you're right. The visuals on it were incredible.
Yeah. But who knows? Like, we don't know what he sounds like. We don't know what they're going to have him sound like. They could affect his voice. Like if you're reading the book, Dream always speaks in like a negative dialogue bubble. Like the bubble is black and the writing is white, and that just, to me, indicates that his voice is somehow otherworldly or know different, lower, modulated, more aggressive. Who knows? Yeah. So who knows what they'll do? Maybe they'll just have James McAvoy come in and redub all his lines because he sounds so good on the audio. I'm sure they won't do that, but he does sound incredible in the audio version.
So I won't spoil the actor for Dream for you, but the rest of the cast, you're looking at Gwendolyn Christie.
I know, yeah.
Like Gwendolyn Christie is Lucifer. Boyd Holbrook is Corinthian. Charles Dance, as we mentioned, is Roderick Burgess. Asim Chowdhury is Abel, and Sanjeev Bhaskar is Cain. So that and if you haven't heard or read anything The Sandman, the dynamic between those two and Dream is just, it's hilarious and unique, and that should be interesting to see too.
The cast really goes on from there. I don't remember everybody off the top of my head, but the cast is really incredible. I know Andy's. Oh no, maybe I'm thinking of the audio drama. Either way, both honestly, the cast for the audio drama and the cast for the Netflix series are both very incredible. I'm just
Andy
super
Serkis,
excited to see this.
Andy Serkis was Matthew the Raven in the audio drama.
Take
a wild stab at who we've already talked about today. That is the live action voice.
We've already talked about them?
We've already talked about them today.
Steve Ditko's family?
No, but Patton Oswalt.
Patton Oswalt. Oh, yep. Wow. So cool.
Yeah, it's both of them. I'm going to finish up the audio drama before the Netflix series drops, just because I've started it. It's the audio drama is phenomenal, and like you said, the cast there is as good.
Yes, and there's a season 2 of that audio drama coming. I think we talked about that a while ago.
Oh no!
So I'm looking forward to that
out now.
Well. It's out now?
It was released this week, September 22nd.
Damn, I gotta get on that. Because yeah, so good. But I also want to finish reading. Like I haven't finished reading the first 10 volumes of Sandman, and I feel like I want to do that before anything else gets ruined for me. So I probably got to pick up my pace because we still don't have a release date for the Netflix version of Sandman, and all the audio drama seems to be going pretty much chronologically in order of the books. We don't know what the Netflix series is going to do. It could jump around in time. It could jump around in issues. The thing that I'm interested in about this Sandman thing, other than it just being an adaptation of a work that I think is incredible, is, I mean, you know, from even just listening to the audio drama, there are stories where your title character is not in them, or
nowhere
is
present,
like an afterthought, or just shows up at the end. And I mean, there's a whole volume of the book. I want to say it's volume 5 or 6. I don't remember the name of it, but that he's barely in it at all. Like till like the last, you know, that's like a volume that's like 5 issues or something, and he's only in the last one. So it's like if they're gonna do that one eventually, like that's gonna be a lot. It's hard to how they're gonna do a series that introduces you so dynamically to a character that is very engaging and challenging, because sometimes he's not always doing the things that you want him to be doing. He's doesn't really care about humanity sometimes. You know, it's like he's an you have to make
apathetic dream is some of my favorite dream.
yeah. Like they have to make you care enough about that character to be engaged with the show, but then I feel like it's going to be a thing where as soon as we get engaged with him as a character, he's not going to be in the next. They're going to, you know, jump around
yank
and
him away. And
yeah, it's like that's the thing where you can do it in comic books, and it has worked in the audio medium because that's pretty much a straight adaptation of the books. But when you get to a different medium, a visual acting live action medium, you have to make some adjustments somewhere along the way, and that's going to be interesting to see how they do that. Or maybe they just stick to all the dream centric or Morpheus centric stories. It's weird because he has like 4 different names in the book, so I call him Dream, I call him Morpheus or whatever. But yeah, I'm really excited to see the rest of this.
Absolutely.
I just can't wait. I can't wait for the date. I just want to put it on my calendar so I can know when to start streaming it immediately. Something that has started streaming and that I have started streaming, I have not finished. I've only watched the first few episodes. Star Wars Visions. We don't really have too much of a story, but I did want to talk to Steve because I haven't talked to you about it, dude. You texted me and told me you have to start watching this right now, and I did that night. I've seen the first 3 episodes.
Okay.
What'd you think?
So I saw the first 7. There's 9 episodes in the whole thing.
Okay.
And I definitely saw the first. I've physically seen the first 7. I think I consciously saw the first like 6 before I nodded off. I never, for one, to lay this out there, and I think you're the same. I am not a fan of anime in any way, shape, or form. Like I've never really gotten behind it. I've always respected it as an art form or whatever, but it's never been my bag. One thing I learned from watching these is that there can definitely be some stories that I really enjoyed, and there can also be some that I really didn't enjoy. But but like the first episode, the duel.
Yeah, man.
That was just like, give me more of that. give me that right in my veins.
I had never seen anime that looked like that before, and that's you know, coming from, I'm sure, a very naive perspective when it comes to anime. Like we've talked about this before. I think when we talked about Star Wars Visions, I'm also not a huge anime guy. I've seen like the big ones. I've seen like Howl's Moving Castle and like some of the more popular movies that have been released. I haven't really dove in because some of the animation I don't like at all, and it's off-putting to me. But the animation on that first episode was killer. I would have watched an entire movie of that style. It was incredible. I thought that was really great. Definitely a good one for them to open with. The second one was about that band that was like playing on Tatooine, and I kind of liked that one, except I didn't like that the song just sounded like an earthy pop punk emo song. It didn't sound like it was made in space.
Needs more jizz wailing.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Is that gonna get? Are we gonna get like an
Yeah, that's
an explicit symbol because people don't know that that's
that's what the actual music
type of music in Star Wars. Yeah,
yeah.
what an unfortunately named.
Yeah,
part of the
hindsight,
Star Wars
George.
universe.
Hindsight.
Yeah, come on, George. No, it's like jazz, but jizz. Wow. Okay.
Oh.
Whoa, what was that?
Apparently, other things that are now known, the duel itself is spinning off into a novel continuation of
Wow.
known as Star Wars Visions Ronin, set for release on
Wow.
October 21st or October 12th.
That's
So,
cool.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
must have known that that was like great. They're like, we're going to open with this, and we're going to
Mhm.
green light a sequel in novel form. That's awesome. So
But
the
yeah.
second one was okay. The third one for me was the twins, the brother and sister,
Yeah.
like the Smith brother and sister. Again, the animation on that one I thought was not my favorite, but and it was. Here's what I did like about it. I loved how insane it was.
Oh yeah.
And how this is something that you could only do with animation, whether it be anime or whatever. Like, and this is, I think there's some debate. I haven't seen a settled, is this show canon or
No,
not?
it is.
Or
It is not.
It's not,
Yeah,
right?
they're
Okay,
not
that's
doing
what
a
I
one-off
thought.
on it.
Yeah. That's what I was assuming. Because in this third one, spoiler for the third episode, you see a dude with a lightsaber riding on the outside of an X-wing, and driving that X-wing at hyper speed through a Star Destroyer, cutting through the Star Destroyer with a lightsaber as he rides with no spacesuit or protection on the outside of an
Right.
X-wing through a Star Destroyer. So he cuts the armor off of his sister, also floating in space with no protection, and then proceeds to cut completely through the Star Destroyer. Sister's totally fine, not burnt by hyperspeed lightsabers, and like that's like it looked amazing, and it was so fun to see that happen. But you would never do that in a live action. That just would be insane. They couldn't
Right.
possibly do that in a live action scenario. But they can give us these like bonkers visuals in this animated format, which I'm
Yep.
here for, because like I will watch that happen, regardless of whether I like the animation or whatever. Like, yeah, I'll see some guy fly through a Star Destroyer with a lightsaber. Like that's insane. But yeah, I'll watch that. That's super fun.
There you go.
So I'm excited to watch more of these. And I wish I had the time before
The-
we talked. But
The next two you've got coming up are two of my favorites.
oh, awesome.
And then the
Cool.
one after that is one much like, so for me the twins was intriguing, and the visuals were like cool to watch, but a lot of that is part of what I never gravitated towards with anime, with the like some of the outlandish stuff like that,
Yeah.
where there's no real grounding. Although random, that was Neil Patrick Harris and Alison Brie doing the voices for them.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool. I
Yeah.
did not recognize that. Huh.
And in the Tatooine Rhapsody, the second one was Jay, the lead singer there, was Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
He doesn't. I can see Neil Patrick Harris and Alison Brie, but I don't remember that guy sounding anything like Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
And they did get Tamara Morrison as Boba Fett.
Yes, that's true. He was in that. I noticed that was
So.
his voice. Joseph Gordon-Levitt also did a random voice in The Last Jedi as
Oh.
an alien on Canto Bight. He's the one
Nice.
that tells him like he's got like a weird Southern accent, and he's like,
Oh, yeah.
"Yo, they parked down there. You gotta go."
Oh,
get 'em,"
that
or
one.
whatever. Yeah, that guy.
That's
It's, like,
great.
really, really strange. So he's clearly somehow connected to Star Wars casting people. Good for him.
Yeah,
So yeah, I'm
there's-
excited to watch more of that, and I'd be shocked if we didn't get a second season. I feel like the responses have been really good. I feel like we'll probably get some kind of announcement of a season 2. That'd be cool.
Absolutely, and I'm up for it. Strangely enough, it's I texted one of our friends who has enjoyed a good bit of anime over the years. I'm like, all right, give me the good ones. Let me know what I need to watch. Like,
Yeah.
my blocks are
Nice.
no longer up. I need to. I'm moving into the world.
Nice.
So.
It is just cool to have like an outlet, especially because it's not canon and it's animation. You get to be able to do all these crazy things and not be bound by, the canon that you have to stick to of the Skywalker saga or whatever. Like,
Right.
you don't have to just keep rehashing or revisiting storylines or characters that we've seen a million times before. You can just do anything you want, which I think is a big plus.
Yeah, and some of
for anything
those,
like
like some of these are set, eons past anything we've seen, or
Yeah,
before or during the trilogy, or like they're bouncing all over the place, which is great to see. So
yeah,
they're in uncharted territory, which I think should segue us
yeah.
nicely to books that haven't been made yet, but we really want them to be.
We really want them to be doing going into comic books. Talking about another Kickstarter call out. This week's Kickstarter call out is for a book called New Rat City Part 1. It's a project from writer-creator Honor Vincent. Her creative team is George Quadros on inks, DC Alonso on colors, Lucas Gattoni on letters, and Ariel Mendel on covers. The synopsis of the book is it's the year 2083, and all that's left of New York City after years of floods, pests, and infrastructure mismanagement is northern Manhattan and a few enclaves in the Bronx and Staten Island. The only people keeping the city habitable for its few remaining residents are the pest controllers, but they aren't allowed to kill anything. Felicia Shepard is a pest controller who does the best she can for her clients, but her job becomes much harder when swarms of unnervingly organized rats, roaches, pigeons, and newly evolved creatures start running rampant across the city. I think it was I can't remember if it was a cover when I was looking at the the Kickstarter for this. I can't remember if it was a cover or if it was just actual art, but there was a giant, like this like kaiju size rat that this character seemingly was confronting. So I'm into this. New Rat City is a 4-issue miniseries about conflicted exterminators, New York City's future, and what happens when nature comes to collect on her debt. It's a mystery bathed in the warm, sticky slime of ecological horror. And it goes on to recommend that it's for fans of Swamp Thing, Ghostbusters, The Last of Us, and Joe's Apartment. Steve, do you remember the movie Joe's Apartment?
Yes.
Isn't that awesome?
Oh, that is a throwback I did not know I needed to hear.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that makes sense because if you're working on pest control, then that's definitely something that you need to take care of.
That was a thing.
That was a thing. So this is it's about 2/3 of the way funded. It's got 21 days left to go. The art for this looks super cool. It looks I don't know. It's got great colors and lines. George Quadros and DC Alonso are doing a great job with the colors on this and just the art in general. There's lots of swarms of bugs and things that are gross, giant rats, like I talked about earlier. And I think this is just a cool, it's a post-apocalyptic future that I haven't seen before, focusing on pests and the gross, creepy crawly things. And I think that's it's definitely can be fun, and it can also people can have a big reaction to that kind of stuff. Like reading it, you can feel gross, and anything that can kind of elicit that reaction from you, if it's something that can do that to you, must be well done in order to make that happen. So I don't know, I can see that being the case with New Rat City, and I don't know, I hope it gets funded.
Yeah, the art, like I'm not one to know how to describe art or any of that. I'm a biologist and a nerd, like not an artist by any stretch, but I can say that whatever they're doing on this fits like the books that I know I like the art.
Yes, yeah, that's not I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, like I don't know how I don't know the words to actually describe it, but I'm like, this is aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah.
It may be rats and weird shit, but it's still aesthetically pleasing.
Yes. Yeah. It looks like great comic book art.
Yeah.
Which a million different things can fit that description, but this is no different. So so good luck to Honor Vincent on their campaign for New Rat City. Throw some money their way. Check it out on Kickstarter. This is a super cool book, and this is, like I said, this part 1 of what they want to be a 4-issue miniseries. So there will be more to come. I think this was a expanded part 1 too. I think part 1 was 48 pages, so it was like a double size issue. So So check that out on Kickstarter. Throw it some money. Good luck, honor, and your campaign for New Rat City. Didn't actually have a lot of like breaking comic news this week, so we're just gonna roll into books that are coming out this week. We got Amazing Spider-Man 74. We got Deathstroke Incorporated #1. We got James Tinian's Department of Truth 13. Die #20. Harley Quinn #7. Icon and Rocket #3. John Carpenter Tales of Science Fiction Hell #6. That's a mouthful. Brian Michael Bendis' Justice League 68. We got Miles Morales Spider-Man #30. Nonstop Spider-Man #5. Something is Killing the Children #20. And Superman Son of Kal-El #3. Obviously, there's many more books that are coming out this week. There's just some that we picked to talk about. Steve, you were mentioning you were pretty sure this Amazing Spider-Man was going to be a big one this week.
Yep, so this is, I believe this is the last of the Spencer run. And then 75, as we talked about, is going to be the re-debut of Ben Reilly as the Amazing Spider-Man. So
yeah, and this is when it's gonna go weekly. Is that what it was?
I think it's thrice monthly, or it was a weird. It was like either way, your Spider-Man, your Spidey senses will be tingling because the books are going to be flying off the shelves here, or flying onto the shelves
with like multiple creative teams. I think like wasn't it like 5 different pairs of artists and writers? I don't remember. We talked about it over a month ago.
Yeah, you got to do something to keep up that number of books, and you've got that. You've got Nonstop's coming back. There's a couple other like smaller miniseries that are running through.
It's really funny to me that the book Nonstop Spider-Man had to take an extended hiatus. It's so ironic. A book with that name. So funny. Obviously, Something is Killing the Children #20. It's kind of a milestone issue for that.
Have you caught up?
Dude, I'm not. I started catching up and then I fell back off. So I know I'm at least I think I'm 2 behind.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I just haven't been able to get to the shop as much as I wanted. So I think I have all of them here. I just have to actually sit down and read them. But my unread stack is getting larger and larger. I'm running out of.
I don't know what you mean.
Low on time. Yeah.
Although I did finally catch back up on my Moon Knight.
Oh, nice. Getting ready for that show coming out this
sometime.
No, we don't know. We don't know when.
Time.
Yep.
I can say along the Something is Killing route, I use that to get the old hooks into someone on the indie train. So
nice.
Yeah, one of my editor over on the blog I write for Syracuse Sports, also a comic nerd. He he picked that up and loved it enough that he picked up Department of Truth and like a couple other trades like Zdarsky's what's his indie? Stray Dogs.
Sex Criminals. The other one.
Yeah, and like grabbed a couple of them. He's like, these are all really good. So the hooks are in on the indie train.
I love getting somebody. I don't know. I love having somebody borrow a comic book and then being like, "This was great." I'm like, yeah, I know. There's so much more.
Yep.
Come, join us.
Exactly. I'm still waiting for my wife to read Y. So.
Oh, dude, let's talk about Y. Have you watched Y: The Last Man yet?
I watched the first episode, and that's all I've been able to get to.
Okay, I've seen the first 3.
Okay.
And it is great. I think it's so good.
The way they were setting it up. Yeah.
I don't want to say anything. I don't want to spoil anything for you, but I think it's so good.
Let's hold it for next week, and I'll make sure I get caught up.
Okay, we'll try to get caught up. I'm watching with my wife too, so I can't binge it. Because it's pretty graphic. I mean, you watch the first episode.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, and that stuff's. My wife's not big. She does like comic book stuff. She does like a lot of superhero stuff. She does not like horror. She does not like suspense.
And she married you.
Yeah, I'm horrible and I'm suspenseful.
I just meant your affinity for those things.
I know, Steve. Thank you. But especially like the way they do the first episode, where like the event that you're waiting for that you think's going to happen right away, like it does in the comics, doesn't really happen right away, and they save it till the end of the first episode, and you're just like waiting. Is it going to happen now? Is it going to happen now? Like that was very hard for her.
It was very hard
and
for
there's
me.
been, yeah,
I knew it was
and there's
coming.
been
And
some,
it was
sure, yeah, no, me too. Yeah, I was definitely feeling it, but me feeling it as somebody that routinely watches scary,
right.
suspenseful horror things
A
is
little
different
bit
than
different.
someone who's not used to that stuff. And there's definitely some dark stuff in the following 2 episodes as well. So, we both like it. She's read the books, so we both kind of know what to expect. She hasn't read them in a long time, but
Oh, that'll be
um,
good. I'll get my wife to watch it and get an outsider's view of it too.
yeah, there you go. That's a good idea. Um, I think the guy playing York is great. Like you've only seen 1 episode, but so far I think he's doing a really great job. Really, everyone in the show, the acting all around seems to be pretty tremendous. So anyway, just wanted to touch base on that because it's the show we've been waiting for such a
Yeah.
long time. Wanted to make sure that we could actually talk about it now that it's airing. All right, so we're moving into one shots. We're going to wrap some things up with some one shots, some stories that happened, and we definitely want to mention them. Don't know how much we're going to dig into them, but we're going to wrap up with some of these crazy things. Starting things off with something that jumped out at me. I thought was kind of weird. Marvel Podcasts Unlimited has been announced through Apple Podcasts. It's a $3.99 a month service, and it gets you early access to Marvel podcasts like the Wastelander series and some other exclusive shows. Just their own kind of hub for their own podcast, I guess, but
Yeah.
also still available on other podcast servers. So
Yeah, I think
I don't
we
know.
should come back to that one.
Yeah, we will.
Next up is the voice cast for the Mario Brothers movie, which we didn't know we needed, but apparently we do, because the voice
Yeah.
cast includes Anya Taylor-Joy as Princess Peach, who is still just going to be Ileana Rasputin in my mind, but Charlie Day is Luigi, because I didn't see Queen's Gambit, so that's the only thing I've seen her in.
Oh man. Oh,
Um,
she's so good.
Jack Black is Bowser, because of course.
Yeah,
Keegan Michael Key is Toad. What? Seth Rogen is Donkey Kong, and Mario is Chris Pratt?
Yeah,
'Kay.
we'll come back to that one
Yeah.
too. We'll come back to that one. The character of Vigilante is confirmed for the HBO Max series Peacemaker. This was like a rumor for a while, and then there was like a still from we got like a very short teaser, or like a snippet of Peacemaker this week. And it was confirmed the character of Vigilante is appearing. Character was on Arrow for a long time, and now is making his DC EU debut.
Perfect. Natalie Holt has been announced as the composer for the upcoming Batgirl movie. She's a British composer who has worked on things including Paddington and Loki, which are 2 completely related subjects.
The Paddington movies are incredible, though. Like,
Oh.
I don't know if you've watched them with your son, but they are great. So good.
Wait, I was supposed to watch those with my son?
Oh yeah, no, you can watch them. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. You do you. Big news that I'm excited about: Russell T Davies returning as a showrunner for Doctor Who, coinciding with the 60th anniversary. Russell T Davies is the showrunner and head writer that relaunched Doctor Who in the early 2000s with Christopher Eccleston and stayed through David Tennant's run as the Doctor. He is coming back to pick up after the current Doctor, Jodie Whittaker, and Chris Chinball leave the show Doctor Who, and I'm very excited about that because without him, I probably wouldn't have become a fan of Doctor Who. So I'm excited to see what he brings back to the show.
There you go. A show I'm excited for, not nearly as much as you are for Doctor Who, I'd assume, but The Witcher has officially been greenlit for a season 3, even though season 2 hasn't dropped yet. Netflix seems to be pretty confident on what they've got going with season 2 and have dropped a new trailer on it. Season 1 was great, and we'll see what comes with season 2, but apparently they're confident enough that they've already renewed it for season 3.
Nice. And last but not least, well, I guess depending on who you are, maybe it's least. We've got the title and date announced for Fantastic Beasts 3, Fantastic Beats. It's a
very different movie.
Yeah. Fantastic Beasts, The Secrets of Dumbledore debuts in theaters on April 15th, 2022. Steve, I'm going to start right here. Do you know anyone that gives a crap about the Fantastic Beasts franchise?
Well, I'd assume you're not thinking Craig's listening, so uh, no.
Is he into? Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, just Harry Potter fandom in general.
Well,
I guess
see,
that's two different things, distinctly.
yes, that's what I mean. I know people that love the Harry Potter movies that don't care about the Fantastic Beasts franchise, and to me, calling Fantastic Beasts 3 The Secrets of Dumbledore is like saying, hey, do you guys remember that these are Harry Potter movies? It's got Dumbledore's in the title. Come see this one, Harry Potter fans, because I don't think the second one did very well at all, and
No.
I don't know that there's a whole lot of juice in the fandom for this franchise.
I think
Maybe I'm wrong because
they're gonna keep milking it no matter what.
Sure.
But I think you're right on that one. Like, they either need to come back hard with this and have it work, or just pivot off it if they want to keep the franchise going.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I've seen all the Harry Potter movies. I'm not like a big Harry Potter fan personally. I enjoyed the movies that I saw. They're not something that I go back to. I know that, so many people love them like you and me love Star Wars. And that's great. But I just don't hear or feel the same fervor for if they said Daniel Radcliffe is coming back in a new Harry Potter movie, that would light up the fandom like you wouldn't believe. I think we'd see so much excitement for that. Whereas I don't know that anyone really cares about these movies. I think I maybe know 2 people that have even seen these movies. Not that I ask everyone I know if they've seen the Fantastic Beasts franchise.
Hi, I'm Mike. Have you seen Fantastic Beasts?
Yeah. Because I hate those movies, and I want to tell you how much I hate them. That's not true. I haven't seen them either. But I don't know. I don't hear people talking about them. I don't hear it in the cultural zeitgeist as much as I still hear about, references to Harry Potter movies that came out 10 years ago,
right,
or more.
I mean, I saw the first one. The first one was okay. It was a passable movie. Wasn't anything that I was, clamoring for more of. And then they gave us more, which was apparently one of. I want to say that was. I'm gonna look this up quick because I want to say that got like panned.
I don't love the first 2 movies. I think the first 2 movies are pretty bad. I think the third movie is the first good Harry Potter movie.
Oh no, I mean for Fantastic Beasts.
Oh, Fantastic Beasts. Okay, I thought you were talking about. I was like, oh, there's only one Harry Potter movie. That's surprising.
I've seen all the original ones.
Okay,
yeah, 36% on Rotten Tomatoes for the second Fantastic Beasts movie. Not great, Bob. Not great.
Not great, Bob. Not great, Bob. Speaking of not great, Bob, I know that he might be problematic, but Vincent Cartwright there, I think, is really doing a good job as Scarecrow on Titans.
After all of the other stuff notwithstanding, he's definitely hitting his stride as the character.
Yeah.
If it could only be someone else.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Unfortunately, some accusations of misconduct, I guess, came out about him on the set. They didn't say what happened or anything, but certainly not enough to cut him out of the show or whatever. But I do like the take on Scarecrow, and I like that they're not just throwing a burlap sack on a dude's head, for the 10th time.
Set him another time.
Yeah. So anyway, let us know if you care about Fantastic Beasts, and I'll be surprised. This to me is another Avatar kind of thing where they're trying to shove it down our throats and no one's here for it.
Yep.
No one is willingly ready to go. So let's talk about Mario. This is like something we've never talked about. We've talked about video games before. And I think I remember hearing years ago that they were in development on a animated Mario movie. A lot of this cast, I think, is great. And there's been a lot of talk about this on Twitter and social media. I think Anya Taylor-Joy as Princess Peach, great. I think Charlie Day as Luigi Charlie Day is hilarious. I don't picture Charlie Day's voice coming out of Luigi's mouth, but I can see that. I'm not mad about that. I think Jack Black as Bowser is great. I think Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong is great. In a million years, would you think that Chris Pratt should voice Mario or would voice Mario?
He wouldn't even be my choice of the Chris's.
Yeah, and is this going to be Chris Pratt trying to talk like Mario talks from the video games, or is it going to be a gritty reboot of the character of Mario that sounds like Chris Pratt?
So are we? Yeah, are we getting Bob Hoskins Mario, or are we getting Super Mario 64 Mario? That's going to be
Yeah,
the...
are we getting Chris Pratt going, "It's a me, Chris," or
Yeah.
are we getting like, "Hey, it's me, Chris Pratt. I mean Mario,
Right.
talking like this the whole movie." Like, I don't know. I'm sure it'll be maybe down the middle of that. Maybe it'll be close to his Andy Dwyer Parks and Rec character or something. But Mario, to me, Chris Pratt, I guess. I think the problem is that a lot of people have started seeing Chris Pratt as like a hollow action movie guy,
Right.
because that's most of the movies he's been doing lately. Nothing with a ton of depth, and just kind of like generic action guy. And I don't know, it just seems like a studio call. It seems like Chris Pratt is popular. Let's get Chris Pratt, without thinking of whether or not people really want that as Mario. I don't know. It just seems like a weird mix, and I'm interested to see what he ends up sounding like, and at this point looking like. I don't know. I don't know anything about this movie.
It's funny because of all the cast, Mario and Luigi are the two that I question the most.
Yeah, I agree. I saw someone on Twitter say like, how did you get cast? You cast Charlie Day as Luigi. How do you cast Chris Pratt as Mario when you had Danny DeVito right there? Like, the two of them worked together on Always Sunny. Danny DeVito would have been a great, better fitting Mario. And I guess and I don't know why that makes sense to me, because Danny DeVito doesn't sound like the video game high-pitched voice Mario either. But for some reason, I would accept a more maybe it's because of the Bob Hoskins thing, like a more gruffer, rough around the edges voice. But Chris Pratt is just like, I don't know, he just seems too pretty, too, I don't know.
He doesn't sell me as a plumber, let's put it that way.
Yeah. Anyway, I guess we'll see what happens with this movie, and if people end up liking it. Maybe, Sonic the Hedgehog did big numbers. So who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows who people will come out for this movie. What do you think about? I don't know if there's too much else to talk about. I'm excited about Doctor Who. Russell T Davies is great. Trailer for The Witcher looked good. It's crazy to me that Batgirl has a composer already. It seems like they're pretty early on in development, but it's cool that they're getting a composer involved early on and develop some themes, I guess, maybe. But Steve, what do you think about Marvel podcasts? Is that worth $3.99 a month to listen to a podcast slightly earlier when you can listen to it for free?
Yeah, so basically, to back it up, Marvel had a deal with Spotify, and the two Logan podcasts and Wastelanders, and I think the Fantastic Four one. What the hell was that? Oh, just Marvels. It was based on that trade that was phenomenal read, phenomenal podcast actually, but so they were doing that with Spotify Premium, where you could get it early, and as someone who is a diehard Wolverine fan, I still didn't pay for Spotify Premium. So I'm sure there's going to be people that will do it, and if there's more things that come with it, sure. But the fact that they're branching out from Spotify to make this deal with Apple at a different price point, it was rolled into your Spotify subscription. Maybe if you are an Apple Music subscriber, this gets rolled into or something like that, which would be fine. I wouldn't mind that because I'm already a subscriber there. But it didn't get me to jump ship to Spotify. It's not going to get me to pay $4 extra a month for Apple.
Yeah. It's also weird, didn't you say that Marvel has two separate comic book apps?
Yeah.
If you want the new stuff, or if you want the back catalog, you have to pay for two different apps. And then this is another separate thing you have to pay for. It's just I don't know. It seems exhausting being a expensive being a diehard Marvel fan.
Yeah, it's weird because if you want to buy a digital copy of a book, or all their books, I don't know if DC does the same, but all their books have a code you can put in to get the digital version as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's in the Marvel app, but then Marvel Unlimited is its own app, and now there's this, and it's like what? Okay, cool.
Yeah, I mean, DC Universe, when that app first launched, I think they really had it down. That was like a great idea, and I'm still kind of upset that didn't work out, because it was comics, it was streaming shows and movies all in one place, and I feel like they could have easily wrapped podcasts into there too.
Yep.
If that had been managed better, unfortunately it wasn't, and it conflicted with the Warner Brothers plans for HBO Max. I think that could have been handled a lot better. But it's also cool that like HBO Max though is also offering this like Batman Adventures podcast through the HBO Max app. So at least that's like kind of tied in a little more. You're only paying for one thing. But yeah, I don't know. I can't see myself paying an extra $4 just to listen to Marvel podcasts. I mean, the exclusive ones would have to be great. I think the only exclusive one that I read in this article was that like a documentary series about Marvel, like an audio history of Marvel kind of show. But that's definitely not enough for getting me to pay for a $4 a month subscription. So I don't know. I guess we'll see how that pans out. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that they're saying is, Wastelanders Hawkeye, early access to the new Wolverine one. No, actually, it isn't even the new Wolverine one. It's
a Spanish language
version of The Long Night, which if you haven't listened to that, well worth it. Yeah.
Was it Long Night? Was it Long Night the first one?
Or is yes. No.
Something about the
Lost Trail was the first one.
I thought Long Night was the first one. Anyway, I like the second one more than I like the first one, because I thought, if you guys don't know what we're talking about, there's 2 seasons of a Wolverine podcast that's out there for free. It's really well done. It's like an audio drama, well acted, well written. But the first one, I feel like Wolverine is a side character in it. Like, he's not in it very much. It's more about those 2 detectives that are trying to find him, which is great. But to call a podcast Wolverine The Long Night and then have him barely be in it, I was kind of like, this is a little bait and switchy. But he was like the main character of the second one, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'm in here.
Second one was the one with Remy, right?
Yes, yeah, okay. Gambit's in the second one.
Yep.
That was cool.
So the first one, I actually liked because of where it ended up going ultimately, but I get what you're saying with that. Like, it ended up being a good listen, but when you're listening to it, you're like, all right, this is a Wolverine podcast. Where is he?
Exactly. Yeah, that's kind of where I told other people, I was like, it's really well done. It's well written, but go into it knowing that he's not in it very much. Like, you hear a voicemail on a phone at the end of one episode, and it's like, okay, where is he? Can you find him so I can hear him? And they do eventually, but it takes a while to get there. But all right, looks like we've been talking for over an hour, and I think we covered a lot of ground, Steve. So unless you got anything else, that is it. I think for this show, I think we're ready to wrap up.
Yeah, I think you're spot on there. Yeah, I would say, if you're watching this, look below live and click on that follow link on Twitch. If you're watching it tomorrow on YouTube, like, subscribe, ring the bell to let us know, or to let you know when we upload stuff. I mean, if you want to let us know when you upload stuff, that's fine too. But
yeah, please let us know.
And if you want to let us know that, you can let us know at themultiversereport@gmail.com or at multiverserpt on Twitter, the Multiverse Report on Facebook and or Instagram. All of your social medias belong to us. We can be reached every Sunday, or in this case Monday, at 9:30 over on Twitch. And thanks again for tuning in.
Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next time in the multiverse.